Let me just say good morning to everyone. This is the fiscal year 2023 proposed budget, and I'm pleased to present the proposed budget for this upcoming year. The proposed budget for all funds total 5.71 billion. That's with a B. An increase of $487 million, or 9.3% compared to fiscal year 2022. Current budget of 5.22 billion. Let me, as a parenthetical note, the enterprise funds accounts for 364 million of that 487 million dollar increase, primarily due to cost in the combined utility system related to the consent decree and other drinking water projects. And for council members and for others, you know that the city of Houston have been dealing with that consent decree since 2010. So it was finally signed off by the federal government, EPA, Department of Justice, and the city of Houston, and that will cover a span of 15 years. So the $364 million, a significant portion of that, is for that consent decree as well as for the other drinking water projects, but that accounts for that increase of 487. The proposed general fund budget of 2.74 billion reflects an increase in spending of $102 million, or 3.8%, from the fiscal year 2022 current budget of 2.64 billion. This increase is primarily attributable to pay increases for all employee groups, including 6% for fire, 4% for police, and 3% for municipal employees. And again, just as a reminder, we are providing our firefighters from the Houston. Chief Pena, why don't you, since a lot of this, your department is getting, and that is, as you could, if everyone can recall, firefighters will be getting a pay raise at a minimum of 18% over 3 years, and so 6% for the fiscal year 2023, and then of course, again, for the police department, their pay raise is 10.5% over the next 3 years. In this is the first year of 4%. And then for our municipal workers, it is 9% over 3, and this is the initial one of 3%. Additionally, this budget includes operational funding for facilities such as the new A-Leaf Neighborhood Center. And as you know, that will be opening up this year. And so, and I know A-Leaf has been waiting on the new A-Leaf Center for, at this point, 25 plus years. So we look forward to celebrating the opening of the new A-Leaf Center. So this budget includes operational funding for that one, the renovated Kendall Library, and the Dr. Shannon Walker Library as well. Fiscal year 2022 experienced increases across many revenue streams as our local economy outperformed all expectations. However, make no mistake, COVID-19 is still here and continues to impact our communities. The fiscal year 2023 proposed general fund budget utilizes $160 million from the American Rescue Plan, the ARPA funding, to recognize the economic impact of COVID-19 and address the reduction in revenues due to the public health emergency. Significant uncertainty, and again, that's 160 of the initial tranche out of the $303 million from ARPA funding. I will say very quickly that the second tranche has not been received, and we're waiting on that. But out of that 303 million, the initial 160 of it is included in this budget, and the rest of it has already been committed. Significant uncertainty remains in the economy with inflation rates surging, interest rates on the rise, gas prices soaring, and global unrest with the Russia-Ukraine war. All these things create an extremely volatile situation, and it's imperative that we build and preserve a strong fund balance heading into fiscal year 2023. With that being said, this proposed budget includes an ending fund balance of $311 million, which is 13.5% of expenditures less debt service and pay as you go, well above the minimum of 7.5% established in the city's financial policies. And what does that mean? That means above that 7.5%, there is a fund balance of $138 million above that 7.5% of expenditures less debt service. Additionally, this budget does not draw down from the fund balance at all, so that 13.5% remains intact. That 138 million above the 7.5 is still in the budget, and neither does this budget include any one-time land sales or deferrals. With regards to the Budget Stabilization Fund, we will fully fund the Budget Stabilization Fund, placing the city in a better position heading into hurricane season, and that is in excess of $20 million. So as we prepare to go into hurricane season, the stabilization fund will be fully funded. With regards to the impact of the property tax revenue cap, the fiscal year 2023 proposed budget is based on the existing property tax revenue cap. Depending on the taxable valuation, we may have to adjust our tax rate to comply with the property tax revenue cap. And what that means is that depending on, as we evaluate the taxable valuation, members of City Council may be called on to lower the tax rate again. A higher taxable value may result in a tax rate reduction. In view of the increase in property value and to provide relief to senior citizens and the disabled, I will be proposing to the members of council, I will be proposing in a separate measure in June, if not before, to increase the over 65 and disabled tax exemptions from $160,000, which exists today, to $260,000. In fiscal 2023 alone, the full impact of the cap will result in a loss of $282 million because of the revenue cap that exists. Since hitting the cap in fiscal year 2015, the full cumulative impact of the revenue cap is $1.4 billion. Now, let me just say, we could have done a great deal, even with police, with fire, solid waste, and let me underscore solid waste, if those dollars were made available. But what I want to underscore here, we recognize property values have increased 20%, and in some cases more. We recognize all of the elements that people are having to face in our city, especially our seniors, people who are disabled. And so it's my hope that when we put forth the ordinance to members of City Council to increase that exemption, the tax exemption from $160,000 to $260,000, that will be approved. It will provide significant relief for our seniors and our disabled community. With regards to public safety, this proposal leaves the city of Houston in a better position as we face these economic uncertainties and at the same time impose our priorities with public safety at the forefront. This budget will be fully funding 5 cadet classes, each for fire as well as police. The current police count is 5,117, with another police cadet class expected to graduate by the end of June, possibly 2, but I believe they're 1. Just last week, that was a cadet class that graduated 55 police officers last week, and there's another cadet class that is in progress as we speak. So the hope is the number will continue, will add. Like all major cities in our nation, Houston has experienced an increase in violent crime because of the COVID-19 pandemic and other factors. which is why we enacted the One Safe Houston Crime Reduction Initiative. One Safe Houston is a comprehensive violence reduction initiative that links research-based strategies to improve public safety and reduce the harms caused by violent crime, focusing on 4 key areas: violent reduction and crime prevention, crisis intervention, response and recovery, youth outreach opportunities, and key community partnerships. Based on our review, the steps that have been put in place under One Safe Houston are working. Violent crime in almost every category is down year to date. The only exception is with regards to homicide. But if you compare where we were in January of this year to where we are today, the numbers have plummeted even as it relates to homicides, but we still have work to do. I initially advanced $5.74 million for overtime, adding 125 officers per day. And although not a part of this budget, we will be advancing an additional $5 million in opera funding to HPD to continue this overtime initiative. What we started in February is important that we continue, and let there be no mistake that public safety is our #1 priority. And when things are working, I think it is always prudent for us to continue on that track as we continue to move forward on our community initiatives, as well as on our crisis intervention. And then the gun buyback program is expected to take effect in June or July of this year. In addition to One Safe Houston initiatives, we have also outlined our plans to bring online new and renovated libraries and multi-service centers to our communities, improve and upgrade neighborhood parks through our Love Our Parks Complete Communities initiative. Phase 1 of this program targeted 5 parks in under-resourced communities, which enhance neighborhood pride. Phase 2 adds 5 additional parks to continue this program. Phase 1 included Malone Park, Our Park, Henderson Park, Delch Park, and Woodruff Park. Phase 2 includes Irvington Park, Hobart Taylor Park, Lincoln Park, Evella Park, and Independent Heights Park. Let me quickly say that these are in addition to the 22 parks being significantly enhanced, which those enhancements should all be completed by December of 2023. 11 of those parks, I think, will be completed before January of next year. In closing, the fiscal year 2023 proposed budget is, in my case, my 7th consecutive budget that is balanced, recognizing that in this one we are using opera funding, but we have never faced COVID either. So with those exigent circumstances, we are moving forward. But it does represent our balanced budget. We have addressed pension reform in 2017 that reduced the city's unfunded liability from $8.2 billion to $1.5 billion. We have addressed OPEB reform that was effective January of 22 that will reduce the city's net other post-employment benefit liability to half over the next 30 years from $9.1 billion to $4.5 billion. We have authorized significant pay raises, council members, to the 3 employee groups, including the 6% for fire, 4% for police, and 3% for municipal employees. We have also brought all of our city employees to a minimum of $15 per hour. Our fund balance is strong, with $138 million above the required 7.5% of expenditures that debt service pay as you go, and I anticipate even that fund balance to rise. And the Budget Stabilization Fund, as we approach hurricane season, is fully funded, and this will leave the city in a much better position as we go into the hurricane season, as well as preparing the city for the looming economic uncertainties that face us all.